Welcome to episode 14 of Unlocked Radio, right here on Morning Show Central Radio Network. I'm your host, Rio, and I'm here to provide you with gaming news, gaming perspective, and gaming discussion. Be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/unlockedradio. Also follow us on Twitter at Unlocked Radio. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/unlockedradio. And if you forget any of that, how could you? Simply check out our website to get all of the info we plugged here at unlockedradio.com. Check out our other live shows on the MSC Radio Network at morningshowcentral.com. Watch our show live here. If you're listening on your phone, you can join the chat at morningshowcentral.com/watch. If you're already doing that, you can listen to the show on your smartphone by searching your app store for TuneIn Radio, download the app, and then search Morning Show Central within said app. Or you can call into the show toll-free at 888-668-0742. Tonight on Unlocked Radio, the Kickstarter campaigns for Ito, Superstar, and Ghost Song come to a close. GOG.com celebrates their 5th birthday with High Five Sale. Total War Rome 2 fails to conquer Saints Row 4 in the UK charts. Rune Factory 4 is coming to Europe. Call of Duty Ghosts is on track to be the most pre-ordered game of the year. And Street Fighter 25th Anniversary Collection is reduced to $80 for 360 and PS3. Now, as you can see, my usual co-host, the incredible Edible Chip, is not with us today, as duty calls, and by duty, I mean a big boy job. However, I have with me a very special guest today. She's awesome, she's talented, she's creative as fuck, not to mention, obviously, gorgeous as you can see in your non-high def shit. Ladies and gentlemen, Freddy Nova.
Hi.
All right. Now, some of you may already know Freddy if you hang out in the right circles, but for those of you who don't, Freddy here is our resident cosplay celeb. She's pretty well known in the gaming cons, comic book conventions, happens to be the most famous female cosplayer in Ohio. Furthermore, she makes awesome costumes almost entirely from scratch, and most of them look better than the ones you'd have to spend $800, $900 on if you order them online. So, Freddy, aside from what I've already stated, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I've been reading comic books since I was in my preteens, probably around age 14. And got just like heavy into it. Used to hang out at the old Common Grounds, or not Common Grounds, the old Ground Zero in Strongsville. I used to also hang out at the Common Grounds in Cleveland. And yeah, from there, it's just like I would do Halloween costumes and stuff. I immediately at age 16 was like, I'm going to fry my hair platinum white and be Lady Death.
All right. So that was the first thing you did?
Yeah. And when I was young, I spent like 10 months making my hair white so that Halloween I could be Lady Death for Halloween. That was my first cosplay.
How old was this?
16, 17.
16, 17.
Long time ago.
And like what? So you just went and decided that you were going to, you like just randomly decided, like you're laying in your bed and you're like, oh, I'm going to be Lady Death.
Yes.
You didn't go to like an event or anything, or like your first thing?
No, I just hung out at the comic shop and I read that. I found her actually when I was 14. I was looking up Neil Gaiman's Sandman. He's got the sister Death. Right. And you're 14, you got AOL, because a long time ago, I might add.
Yeah. AOL sounds, enough said.
A long time ago, I'm in my 30s now. And I was Googling, or I don't even think it was Google back then. I don't know what I was doing.
Yahoo search?
Something. It was.
You weren't binging it.
I put like Death in comic, and all of a sudden this like albino chick, like looking all dominatrix, popped up on my screen, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in love. And then I went and bought like all her stuff and just have a huge collection to this day. Now,
was that one of those things that you just did from scratch right off the bat, or did you like actually have somebody help you out with it?
That was a combination of some S&M clothes. I remember being in on Melrose in LA, and they have like a store of like macabre stuff, so I bought some skulls, like actual skulls, and stitched them to like my underwear and the bra and whatnot. And then I had like a nice cape from the Renaissance Fair here in Ohio, and I kind of mixed a bunch of pieces together when I was younger.
Okay. Now, where did you first show this off at?
At actual Ground Zero Comics.
Okay, you actually just went into the comic shop.
I was just hanging out for Halloween. It was a Halloween thing.
Okay, Halloween party. That works out. It's like not just like walking down the street like this in a costume. But.
No, comic conventions kind of came later in life. Like I just always hung out with the guys from the shop. It was, Peter Pan, Lost Boys situation. It was always fun. You were always a kid. And when that day and age came, many years came and went years later, I started going to just like a few small cons. Mm-hmm. And, now everybody dresses up at the little ones. And then next thing you know, I ventured out into the bigger ones. And I was like, this is kind of awesome.
Right.
I'll
Okay.
give this a try.
You just did you like get overwhelmed by it like immediately?
Oh,
or?
you get really overwhelmed by it. Yeah, you don't realize what happens when you put on a costume. You're like,
Not immediately a social butterfly with it.
yeah, and like, well, you get swarmed, and back then it wasn't so popular. Where cosplay is now like the new black.
Yeah,
Or,
I was like, I haven't even noticed it a whole big thing in like 2008, 2009, 2010 maybe, but I know around like '05 once gaming started becoming more popular and everything else, which eventually led to us being able to have a radio show here about it. But like comic kind of things and doing cosplays and everything was pretty like, oh, you're kind of a nerd, you're kind of a loser kind of thing. And now people make money off of doing it, and people who were introverts back then are now like the social butterflies they are today with it.
Yeah, when it's all over the mall and like every major department store, like, oh, Batman's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, behind us we have a little. You have a bag of goodies for us.
I
if
do
you
have
could
some
grab
goodies.
that real quick, and I'm gonna show off. If you guys notice the shirt that I'm wearing here, I gotta get over here. We got Freddy's famous sexy lady Venom on my chest, and you could have one on your chest too. All you gotta do is call into the show and give Freddy a shout out for a chance to win. Oh, you'll also have to ask her a legit question that she can give a good detailed answer to. She's gonna have to pick 3 winners at the end of the show, and that's pretty much that. So we could actually get the camera zoom in a little bit on some of these things. We got some good fancy stuff here for her. If we're gonna actually
Are we getting
get
to
it in, we're looking and getting the pan over. But in the meantime,
They could go on the
there we go. Now we can see it. There we go. You didn't even have it right side up. Yeah, that's a RoboCop again, done from scratch on Miss Freddy here.
I didn't make all that.
That's not just a movie thing. Not like the new remake or whatever that's coming out, which looks completely bogus, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
You got a whole full slew of things here. Can we get one of the shirts to show off, though?
Yes, okay, sir.
It's one of the main ones. Like, if drape it over the front here. There we go. Oh, wait, maybe not directly into the.
That is a light.
Yeah, there we go. So now we can see. Yeah, that's a shirt that I'm wearing currently. It's a nice. Actually, it's a good snug fit. It's a really soft shirt. I like the fabric on it and everything else. And of course, it's got Freddy on it. So now I'm officially a fanboy, I guess, considering I'm wearing a shirt.
Yeah, way to go.
All right, so.
Oh, there's a Lady Death one. That's what I was looking for.
All right, she's looking for a Lady Death. Here we go. This is the big one.
So you can all see my favorite.
And this will probably be your guys' favorite too. There we go. We'll zoom out a little bit.
Booty.
Yeah, you gotta see the booty in there. There we go. All right, now moving on though. So like I said, 888-668-0742 is how you can call into the show. Ask Freddy a question here. Give her a shout out if you're interested in something, anything you're curious about. For those of you who go to comic conventions and everything else, those of you getting into cosplay yourself, any questions you have, just call into the show and ask. In the meantime, moving on, can you tell us about the most recent event that you went to?
Last one was a World Chicago Comic Con.
All right, and can you tell us for those for the more layman people, the people that are just learning about this?
Okay. All right. That con's gotten quite gigantic. That was 2 floors this year. It's really an awesome experience. It is a trade show in essence, but what a lot of people don't realize, as people are coming there for the media guests, there's always like a huge hall of actually very famous people.
With the panels and signings and everything.
Yes, and then there's events going on the entire time. Like you get there, you got to get your brochure. Typically, you want to actually go online and check out the brochure ahead of time so you can see what panels are going on.
Time slots and everything.
You kind of want to itinerize. A lot of them have apps now, too, where you can luckily put your own, itinerary on your app so you know what's going on. And you got to get there ahead of time. You got to be prepared for extreme crowds.
Calendars and notifications all up in your iPhone.
Yeah, so it's actually like a really big to-do now. It's really cool. It's an amazing event. It's amazing energy. And for people in the nerd culture, especially the legit nerds, that was always a place where you can go somewhere and nobody looks at you like you're nuts.
Right, yeah. If you saw half of those people in half of those costumes just walking around, hanging out at a coffee shop, something like that, it might throw a little bit of a red flag. You can't go to a bar like that.
You're all fans. That's what's so amazing about conventions. You're all fans of something at least similar, if not the same thing.
And you're pretty much wearing your common interests.
Yeah.
Right. sleeves.
And there's nothing better, like, especially like, let's say you do a more obscure character like Lady Death or something. It's so much fun when somebody's like, "Oh my God, it's Lady Death!" Like, you just feel so awesome. You're like, "Yes,
you're
know
not the
who
only
I am."
one.
Yeah, obviously, if you're Batgirl, you know who Batgirl is, but you
Yeah.
might be appreciating a Batgirl for just the craftsmanship they put into their costume
That's true,
too,
yeah.
or how much you actually really do bring that character to life.
Now, like, you make it on your own, so you're getting that joy out of it, of putting something together yourself. The other people are getting joy out of it, asking you how you do it. But can somebody not get any joy out of it if they don't make it themselves? What if they don't have that kind of time?
They seem to enjoy themselves. I've always kind of done some even when I first started out, if I bought, let's say, like one of those Zentai suits from China, I still cut it apart and made it my own custom.
Okay.
Some people do just commission, and they're still probably enjoying themselves similar. I feel like the pride aspect is not there.
But they're at least going out and having fun.
It's hard for me to see from their vantage point because that's kind of my shtick, is I love building these things and figuring out how to do it from junk. My thing is I also make things on the cheap. Like, I'm a budget-friendly cosplayer. Like,
yeah, and I saw like the shields being turned into shoulder plates from
and
a
they're
dollar
from the
store.
dollar store. Yeah, so I had $2 shoulder armor. Yeah, I do stuff like that all the time, where I just walk around like the craft store and I just find weird things like nautical stars made out of paper mache. You cut the tips off and you have perfect arrows for your like huntress costume.
All right, we're going to get a little bit more in depth on that. I'm going to have to get some of the gaming news here out of the way. We're going to get it out soon, and then we can pretty much all focus all the rest of the time on Freddy here.
No, you take your time. You take your stock slow motion.
All right, for those of you actually giving a shit about the gaming news, here's what's going on this week. The Kickstarter campaigns for Edo Superstar, Ghost Song, Divergence Online, World War II trading card game, Paranautical Activity, Steel and Steam Episode 1, Sword and Board, Proton Pulse Shift, and Barter Empire all came to a close. Edo Superstar, which is a fighting RPG, earned the most money this week, which is $67,764. Imagine making $67,000 from people just liking your idea and giving you the money to make what you love, which is pretty good. While Metroidvania-styled Ghost Song had the most backers of the group, with 3,014 people funding the action game. Again, 3,000 followers believing in what you do and throwing money your way is pretty good. Lets you know it's going to be pretty successful. And then there's MMORPG Divergence Online had the highest average pledge per person for the week, as each funder averaged a whopping $169.19. Now, I personally would not, even if I thought someone's idea was really great, $170 isn't within my budget to give to somebody. But, more power to the people that are. Now, moving on, Good Old Games marks its 5th anniversary this week with a High Five sale, a week-long event that offers up to an 80% discount on the selection of 25 featured PC and Mac games. To qualify for the discount, GOG customers must choose a total of 5 qualifying games among the sales lineup. The starting games include Double Fine's Adventure Puzzler Stackling, the PSN-ported Psychedelia Sim Dyad, Runic Games Torchlight, which a lot of people I'm pretty sure know, and both Alan Wake and its follow-up American Nightmare. GOG's High Five sale will wrap up next Monday, September 16th. Now, these are the days of the Saints Row Empire. Despite a brave attempt by Total War Rome 2, all roads still lead to Saints Row 4 in the UK charts, where Volition's game is now into its 3rd week as numero uno. Not that it was a bad launch for Rome 2, the strategy sequel actually upped the previous Rome's game's first week sales by 4,000 copies, and it managed to pip the console versions of Diablo 3 to 2nd place. It too, Rome 2? Okay, honestly, I'm out of Roman references. But lower down the order, we find 2 new releases in Vita game Killzone Mercenary, which docks in 8th, and Farming Simulator 2013, which crops up in 10th. Why is a farming simulator in 10th place on anything? I'm not entirely sure. That unusual combination pushes Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, just out of the top 10, the PS3 and PC MMO coming in 11th. Now, finally, if we peer right down the top 40, we just about find Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate in 35th, which makes me kind of upset because that's one of my favorite games. Now, at least Tecmo Koei can reflect upon the updated fighter's debut and the knowledge that the original shipped 580,000 units worldwide in its first month. Oh, and get this, FIFA 13 in the UK isn't even in the top 10. It's the first time in recorded history, or close enough, that FIFA 13 has been cited as low as 14th. Truly, this is obviously the silly season. But Moving on, Rune Factory 4 will start up a European production line thanks to Zen United, the game distributor that handled the continental carriage of Harvest Moon, A New Beginning, and Persona 4 Arena. Zen director Jarian Evans didn't disclose any details in an interview with jpgames.de, but an official announcement in the very near future, quote, may produce more info. As for North America, the 3DS agricultural sim and RPG is due sometime this fall. In August, publisher Xseed said, quote, it could be looking at a late September or October release, although late September is nearly upon us and a release date hasn't even cropped up yet. Moving on to GameStop's vice president of merchandising has put the kibosh on a Call of Duty not being its blockbuster self this year. GameStop exec Bob Puzan said, Call of Duty is an entertainment juggernaut and cultural phenomenon. We are excited for the upcoming release of the new installment of this blockbuster franchise, Call of Duty Ghosts. We look forward to celebrating the worldwide November launch of this great game that is on track to be the most pre-ordered title of the year. Now, the statement by the mega retailer comes at a slight surprise given the annualized release of the series had yet to show fatigue at all, especially in the face of next week's Grand Theft Auto 5 launch. Now, last month, Activision Publishing CEO Eric Hirschberg was quite clear that pre-orders for Ghosts were well below the record-setting pace set by Call of Duty Black Ops 2 last year. Now, Hirschberg, referring to the imminent launches of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, recently said, quote, our quantitative consumer research indicates that hesitation amongst past COD pre-orders is primarily due to not knowing which platform they will be playing on, which is natural at this time in the console transition, which I entirely agree with. All right, moving on to our last little bit here, the Street Fighter 25th Anniversary Collection has Hadoukened its hefty $150 price point and is now available for $80 through the Capcom store. That's a savings of almost 50% and $20 cheaper than last time the set was on sale, which calls for a theme that goes with everything, perhaps. This collection is pretty insane. For those of you who like Street Fighter, like our previous guest, Bobby Cruz, this game has the same collection as when it was first announced, meaning you'll get Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike Online Edition, and Street Fighter X Tekken when you pick up the collection for Xbox 360, or all of those plus all 3 Street Fighter Alpha titles should you opt for the PS3 version. The Capcom store also advertises all costume DLC for SSF4 Arcade and all character and swap costume DLC for Street Fighter X Tekken, but it doesn't seem that all includes the DLC releases or announced the ones that were released or announced after the collection's debut, which kind of sucks. But the set includes an 11-disc soundtrack, a 64-page art book, the I Am Street Fighter documentary, and all episodes of the Street Fighter anime and Street Fighter 2 the animated movie. So a whole bunch of shit. You'll also be able to display a certificate of authenticity, a light-up Ryu statue, or even the iconic fighter's belt proudly in your dojo or dorm room, probably. Now, let's get back to the good stuff. Earlier, we started to get to know you a little bit, but let's get deeper into the little professional hobby of choice. We talked about when you started cosplaying and what attracts you to it now. I guess, like how it's evolved from, like you said, you just saw the comics, you read it, then you show up in your local comic shop. What keeps you going with it?
That's a very good question. What actually is when you start going to these conventions, you build a family of friends. Mm-hmm. Literally. Your own personal community. Yeah. It's crazy. I would love to just start a commune. It'd be amazing. Everybody just I have friends all over the United States and even England and Australia now. Okay, so out of the country even, have you met them in person, like at events? Some I have, actually. I had someone from Australia actually stay at my house. He went to 2 different conventions with me. Mm-hmm. And how did he meet everyone and travel around the world? Facebook. Okay, just meeting people on Facebook, finding out what events they were at, and then wanting to go to the conventions. And he scheduled his trip for 2 months, and 2 of them. Traveling overseas seems kind of costly to go to a convention. Ridiculously expensive. But it's weird. It's hard for me to explain. Sometimes when I go on a vacation, are these more famous people? Like coming overseas, like people that are known there, people that have the money to do so? No, not at all. Just fans. All right, then. You're that big of a fan, but you have so much. It's worth it because sometimes I go on a vacation and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Because the conventions have become my vacation. Right. Okay. So when you're back home, you're sitting there like, I just can't wait for the next one. Yeah. You're kind of just always planning. I'm always building something, especially since the longer you cosplay, and if you're a costumer that builds your own stuff, you challenge yourself. Mm-hmm. So you have to level up. So now you said before, you said Lady Death is still your favorite of the cosplays? Still, yeah, all these years later. Is it because it was your first one and it got you into it, or? Probably. I think there's always that first.
Yeah. All right, so I was gonna say sometimes you'll be like, all right, you say you make all your own, so I don't know if you had more of a pride and joy that you put the most amount of work into, or
It's hard to say because the armor that was in that you guys just saw in the prints, that was like one of my more intense builds that I did completely by myself from just scratch materials from like Home Depot and foam and whatnot. Like that's actually like aluminum sheeting from the roofing department.
oh jeez. Now, the actual events, what would be like your most memorable moment while cosplaying? Like actually at one of these events, like do you have meeting someone famous maybe, or a particular awkward moment that happened, or something that like
It's always an awkward moment when you're a nerd.
falling off the stage?
I'm trying to, I've never had like a horrible mishap. Other than there's always a costume malfunction, but not necessarily a malfunction like a boob doesn't always pop out, but it does happen. But no, like a lot of times like your stuff falls off. I did the Dark Child one time, and her wooden spikes just kept popping off of my costume, and I was like,
Oh
I
jeez.
just got here. Or like I cracked my big hooves that I was
I
wearing.
believe I have a phone call on the line. Somebody here, you're on the air. Can I get a name?
Yes, my name's Dave.
All right, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
We got. I'm assuming a fan of Freddy here. We can give you your shout out and all that.
course.
You're on the air right now, by the way.
I bet you I know who this is.
You probably. I don't
It's
know.
Dave
So, all
Jordan.
right. Do you know Freddy? Are you a fan of Freddy? Are you just following her? What's going on?
Both. I'm sorry, you guys are breaking up a little bit here.
I apologize for that.
But yeah,
Hopefully
I know
it's
Freddie. We were. I was Juggernaut.
Yeah,
over
I knew it
Wizard
was
World.
Dave Jordan.
Uh-huh.
How you
So,
doing?
Dave, what do you think? Can you tell us right now, like when you met Freddy, how did that go? What was your any memorable moments there? Did you guys have like some fun on that show from an
I was
outside
just
perspective?
nervous as all hell because here is Lady Death. I think you remember the first time we met. You were Huntress.
Yes. Yeah, at C2E2 2 years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Do we have any questions for Freddy right now? Because that it was the requirement to
yeah.
get one of the shirts or the posters.
Dave has a shirt, I believe.
No. Yeah, I've got a shirt and a poster. So.
Oh, all right. Well, we can add it up or something. All right. What do we got?
Well, no Lady Death is your favorite cosplay. What are the next two?
Or the next two cosplays I'm doing?
Number 2 and number 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
next two
your
favorites.
Two favorites.
That's,
Say your top 3 favorites.
that's really tricky because they constantly change. Because what I'll do is I'll build the next one and I'll be like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is my favorite. Probably one that also always has my heart because it was one of the earlier ones was the American Dream, the female Captain America.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe somewhere in here I might have an actual picture of that. Give me one moment to pull that up while you guys are.
Okay,
finishing
and
your little-
then it's really tough to say like what
Hey,
the other.
oh,
It
that's
might
alright.
be actually Huntress, just because the Helen Bertinelli character is one of my favorite because she is so independent and goes by her own rules, and it's a really cool costume to boot.
I might have to go a little bit farther back.
Very cool.
That one? No.
No,
That's
that
Wonder Woman.
would be a
was
Wonder Woman bikini.
Sorry,
That is not a costume.
I looked up there. I saw red and blue, and I just stopped. There we go.
No, that's
That's
not.
not it?
That's
Oh,
just
that's-
me wearing underwear.
Okay, with the
shield.
Captain America shield.
No,
there.
I don't think you have the costume.
I might not have that in the images.
Yeah, I did that when I was younger, and I remade it a couple of times, and I'm actually trying to remake it like a fourth time.
Oh, jeez.
Because now she's more. Nobody knew who she was. They were like, "Oh, female Captain America." And I'm like, "Actually, it's the American Dream. She's actually
Yeah,
a
she's
character."
actually a character. That happens a lot.
But now she's come back in comics, so now people are redoing her left and right. So she got put back on the back burner.
Uh-oh. And you made that famous?
No, I didn't.
No,
make it.
you're not. You're
She
not
made
gonna
herself in.
You're not going to take credit.
No.
All right, Dave. Well, we appreciate you calling in. You're
Thanks,
now
Dave.
on the line, and
That makes
or
me
you're in the
happy.
list of the top 3 people that she's going to end up picking later on. And if nobody, you said I saw in the chat that you had a little bit of an issue getting through in the first place. Glad you got in now, and hopefully you'll be in the listing.
Cool, guys.
All right, thanks for calling in.
calling.
All right, now moving on. You have said as somebody that was a juggernaut that met you, now a fan. You have. Is that weird now? Like when you started off till now, thinking that you would actually have like a fan, like a following?
I think it's silly that I have fans because I'm just a person dressing up, but it's really, really flattering and like stuff like the fact that Dave took the time to actually tune into the show. Like that doesn't go over my head. Like,
Right.
That means,
So you appreciate
it means
it.
something
Yeah.
to me. While some people might get real cocky, some people like push their prints online and do fan pages. I don't have a fan page. I have a personal page.
Yeah.
It does have a button you can click to hit follow instead of friend request if you don't know me. But I
Right.
still talk to everybody like human beings. I don't try to be like, oh my God, it's so nice to meet you. You should buy my print, because I don't sell those prints. They're all
Right. Yeah. That's what I had noticed.
Giveaway.
Anytime I've seen you give a shirt, it was you just gave it. There was
Yeah.
no selling involved. And I was like, well, if you were selling these, giving them away probably wouldn't be a very good business
Free
move.
comic book day, actually, I took a backpack, and if anyone recognized who I was, because locally most people don't know who I am, if anyone actually recognized who I was, I'm like, guess what? You just want a free shirt.
Yeah. And I saw a couple of people freak out about that. They're like, fuck yeah.
So that was awesome.
Now, we were talking about malfunctions. Have you ever had any cosplays just like go horribly wrong or encountered problems while making them in the first place that set you back like a lot?
They're all really frustrating. They all have like little things where you're like, oh, look, I finished this, and then you put it on and it just falls apart. You're like, sweet.
But it doesn't discourage you.
Oh, no, you just gotta, usually you could just kind of, whatever fell apart, you could just figure out a better way to attach it. Attachment is really weird, because it's not clothing. Obviously, there are some costumes that are like just, oh, a spandex suit, that's like a treat.
Yeah.
When you can just slip on a spandex suit, that's like wearing a onesie, that's awesome. When you have to put like armor pieces on, you have to have these buckles, and a lot of things are just hot glued together, and you don't always think like, oh, the hot glue might not hold.
I can understand that. But like that, those ones that are the more difficult ones are the more rewarding ones in your eyes.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, because that's like, it's, you just conquered the
Putting
world.
on a onesie obviously seems like it would be easier, but probably not nearly as fun.
It's magical, yes, because you're like, woo, Sunday costume, this is comfortable.
Okay, yeah.
Flat shoes, also another reward.
Now, so you don't do like a costume for the weekend. You do a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
I always
or?
change my costume, yeah. I'm like crazy about that. I
Okay,
always
yeah, so I've
change
seen some people
everything.
that do it. Like I've seen somebody have a different costume every single day. I'm like, that seems expensive.
It is, but when people wear the same thing every day, I'm like, oh, did you get
Oh, you already saw it, now
Because
you
you
don't
gotta remember,
talk to
like, there's like thousands of photos being taken of you, and all I could think is, man, I would not want to go home and just have like 10 billion Harley Quinn pictures.
Yeah. Oh, and then not to mention there's 10 billion Harley Quinn pictures with 10 billion Harley Quinns in them each.
Yes,
Because there's so many, and
that
Lady
isn't very
Deadpools.
popular. Yes.
Yeah, Deadpools and Harley Quinns all around.
I love them to death, but yeah, there's some like I try to veer from what's popular like that particular year. Like it was really weird after I did Witchblade. I didn't even think anyone knew who Witchblade was, and then like that year, like
Oh, I
everybody
freaking love
started doing
Witchblade. I think Witchblade was probably one of the first comics I ever
Really?
read when I was younger.
Oh, such a
It's
great-
got a like one of my uncle had some comics out, and I was just looking through his stuff, which of course he got pissed at me every single time because I'm a 12-year-old searching through his stuff, and I'm like, but they're comics, I got to read them.
And you're
like to
touching them
me,
inappropriately.
yeah, to me it's just comics. To him it's a collectible, and he was trying to keep them in good condition. Of course I would grab the wrong ones, not the ones that were bad. But you have like my Witchblades. I think Punisher was probably one of the second ones that I read. He had darker stuff.
That I read a lot of the darker stuff too. Yeah, maybe not appropriate for a 12-year-old, but yeah. When I was younger, I got into the Lady Death and like Dawn, Witchblade, Vampirella was one of my first comics I read. And then I read the Sandman comics, and then eventually started reading like Sin City and stuff. So I always read kind of more independent, dark comics. I don't know why.
Now, has there ever been? This is kind of like going off of like the malfunction thing, but like everything's been coming
You're just
on
waiting
to
for me to
lighter
say a
note-
boob
lighter
popped
note.
out.
No,
I know
not
what
that.
you're going for.
No, I'm going.
No.
What I'm going for is like everything ends up kind of starting off. It goes up to a lighter note. Everything so far, all good. Is there any bad?
In
Like
building
anything
the
that
costumes? Or Comic-Cons in
actually
general?
being at the event with the costume. Is there anything like where you made one and it didn't quite turn out as like successful as you wanted it to, or like you kind of regretted something that you did it wrong?
You don't regret it. You just constantly are thinking how you're going to redo it. And I've redone characters. I actually almost rebuild. You have to understand, it's hot at a Comic-Con typically, and you're wearing it for at least 9 hours. That's a long time to be wearing a costume, especially of pieces and parts that could be made of clay or foam or metal. Like there's just all kinds of different materials, and not all of it is really sweatproof.
So was that why cosplay girls go for the least amount of clothing?
It can be refreshing. It can. You do have to make sure, like, I always try to tell new cosplayers that are wearing the skimpy clothing, like, there's this thing called toupee tape for men's toupees.
Right.
That can be really handy. Like, when I made the Witchblade, the first time I made it out of craft foam completely, just crazy pieces and parts. And then I saw how other people were using hot glue and silicone and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, that's genius. It still doesn't cost hardly anything.
Right.
But it's obviously a little trickier because it's an organic metal. Ooh.
All right. Well, you're running out of time right here for the break. When we come back, we're talking more cosplay with the beautifully awesome Freddy Nova. Tell your grandma her home cooking looks on Instagram. You're listening to Unlocked Radio. We'll be back in 10.
Oh, wow. Language.
Okay, he was PMSing.
You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network.
This is President Barack Obama, and you're listening to MSC Radio Network.
P99 Technologies.
Affordable and reliable web hosting done right.
Jumping from one web host to another can be frustrating.
Finding a good web host can be unnerving for even the most experienced of web designers.
That's why Uncensored Net Noise has chosen P99 Technologies as its web hosting supplier. Established in 1999,
P99 Technologies has evolved into a first-class web hosting provider.
its 99.9% uptime rivals many in the industry. That's why they offer their 30-day guarantee.
No questions asked.
For more information, go to P99.com. P99 Technologies will help you get started with your web presence.
With honest and expert customer service.
P99 Technologies. Affordable and reliable web hosting done right.
Hey, local bands and unsigned artists. What if I told you there was a place in Cleveland where you can get your merch made and have it sold in one location? What if I said you could bring your CDs and tickets to upcoming shows to this location? And what if I said you could do live acoustic sets at this location? I bet you're thinking there's no such place in Cleveland. Guess what? You'd be wrong. Contact Rick Navario at Rock City, Cleveland, and tell him you need merch made and you want to sell it in his store. Now, how cool is that? You can tell your fans to come down and get your stuff, and I think he'd ship your products to your fans. And he's local. Contact Rick Navario at Rock City, Cleveland today. 216-622-0377. That's 216-622-0377. The following message is for those with a credit score of 800 and below. Who wouldn't want better credit? Did you ever wonder how different life would be from just having a higher credit score? Are you tired of being turned down for any kind of loan or only offered high interest rates because your credit score is holding you prisoner? Life doesn't have to be that way anymore with access to Turnscor. By increasing your credit score only 50 to 100 points, it can potentially save you tens of thousands of dollars in interest over just a 5 to 10 year period. It can be the difference in getting approved for a personal loan, business loan, high limits on credit cards, a brand new car lease, or even a home mortgage. We see so many ads from companies that give us our credit score, but once we get our credit score, what are they going to do to actually repair your credit? Unfortunately, nothing. Until now, Turnscor is the first automated credit repair platform that is simple, safe, and secure. You'll be empowered right from the comfort of your own computer so you can challenge and repair your credit report to ensure it's fair and accurate. Turnscor is specifically developed with you in mind. There's no more need for an attorney, credit repair companies, or credit counseling. More importantly, no more need for paying higher fees. Turnscor will help you get back on track and get the buying power you need. So whether you have bad credit, average credit, or even good credit, Turnscor is helping turn lives around one credit score at a time. Go to turnscor.com and enter the promo code MSC20 and get $20 off your purchase. That's TURNSCOR.com. TURNSCOR.com. Turnscore.com. With hundreds of live weather products and layers and thousands of combinations, Weather Studio provides a professional graphics and storm monitoring solution without complex user knowledge and without the industry standard price tag of $1,000 plus broadcast systems. Weather Studio displays a plethora of critical atmospheric and geophysical data on an interactive GIS-enabled computer map. Get your free 14-day trial of Weather Studio at their website, weatherstudio.paulmarv.com. That's weatherstudio.paulmarv.com.
You're
You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network. If you're looking for the best in musical equipment, recording gear, sound reinforcement, and more, Guitar Center has you covered. Guitar Center, located at 26635 Brook Park Road in North Olmsted, has the tools of your trade with the largest selection of music and sound gear in the area. They cater to your musical needs and have the knowledge to help you out. Guitar Center in North Olmsted. MorningShowCentral.com uses them. You should too. Need to know more? Go to GuitarCenter.com.
I know. Oh my God, I know what we're gonna do. Oh, it's so delicious, I can almost taste it.
If you're looking for the best sub shop in town,
Look no further.
Hanini Subs, located at 7310 Lorraine Avenue, is the place for you.
Stop in for a cold cut sub, cheeseburger and fries, wingdings and fries, and so much more.
I can almost taste it.
Hanini Subs at 7310 Lorraine Avenue is open 24 hours a day. Check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/Burrito Crazy.
And if you mention MSC Radio Network, you'll get $1 off your meal.
It's all good at Hanini Subs.
So damn good.
Looking for reliable and affordable Shoutcast audio or video hosting? JWN Media offers complete Shoutcast hosting solutions for business or personal use. All plans come with full listener stats, custom web scripts for implementing your service into your existing website, full server control, super fast network, and huge bandwidth limits, a 99.5% uptime guarantee, and friendly, knowledgeable support personnel dedicated to making your hosting experience fun and easy. With plans starting at only $3 a month, you have no excuse not to get a server of your own. Plus, with the option to add auto DJ and on-demand services,
You can be confident your station will be all it can be.
custom plans are also available at their website. Simply visit jwnmedia.com
And click the Shoutcast hosting link to get started right now.
Lakewood Computer, located at 14035 Madison Avenue in Lakewood, has it all. If you're in need of computer repairs or want to cut the cost of ink cartridges and printing supplies, count on Lakewood Computer in Lakewood, Ohio to provide it all. For the past 5 years, Lakewood Computer has been providing you with a huge assortment of computer equipment and services at very competitive prices. Lakewood Computer purchases and sells pre-owned desktops, laptops, and related equipment, and they offer outstanding prices on aftermarket printing supplies, including toner cartridges and ink cartridges. With 29 years of professional experience, Lakewood Computer is highly confident in their ability to enhance your overall computing experience. Check them out online at joeslakewoodcomputer.com. That's joeslakewoodcomputer.com. Or give them a call toll-free, 855-580-0768. That's 855-580-0768.
I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms.
You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network.
If you have a product or service,
Let people know about it.
get your message out there and advertise on MSC Radio Network. It's easier than you think.
And the whole planet is listening.
Find out how you can advertise.
Email Chris at morningshowcentral.com. Oh, great. Not another Farmville request.
Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/morningshowcentral.
Denying one Farmville request at a time. Heard of the 7 deadly sins?
You are evil! Pure evil! Pure evil!
They're nothing compared to Uncensored Net Noise's 7th annual birthday bash.
But I gotta do this.
Friday, September 20th at the Rock City Tap House in Parma.
Live on stage, it's Morality Check, Necros Obscura, The Burning Harlots, Darling Waste, and more for this amazing all-ages show.
Because of your words, I'm now ready to destroy.
All the details for the 7th annual Uncensored Net Noise Birthday Bash
At MSCRadioNetwork.com. User-friendly
and ready to serve.
MorningshowCentral.com.
Call the show toll-free.
1-888-668-0742.
You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network on morningshowcentral.com.
And we're back with more Unlocked Radio right here on Morning Show Central Radio Network. Before the break, we talked about the Kickstarter campaigns for Ito Superstar and Ghost Song coming to a close. We talked about GOG.com celebrating their 5th birthday with their High Five sale. We talked about Total War Rome 2 failing to conquer the Saints Row 4 in the UK charts. We talked about Rune Factory 4 coming to Europe, Call of Duty Ghosts being on track to be the most pre-ordered game of the year, and Street Fighter 25th Anniversary Collection being reduced to $80 for 360 and PS3. But most importantly, we started talking about cosplay with my special guest here, Freddy Nova. And now we're going to continue our conversation, and it's all about her cosplay glory here. Now,
Oh, joy.
Oh, joy.
Oh, joy.
Now, we were talking before about things that went good, things that went wrong, and everything. The costumes that you've done on your own. Another thing that I talked about, was thinking about was we were talking about the all the Deadpools, all the Harley Quinns, and everything else like that. Things that get kind of cliche. Have you ever had that situation? I know that some of yours are, most of yours are pretty original, but have you ever come across somebody that was doing the same thing that you were doing at the time?
Oh yeah, I have no problem with it at all. I think I actually get excited, and I just want to take a picture with them.
Okay, like, do you guys like compare like who did what better, or like is there any sort of like do people come to you like, oh, why'd you do that? I did that. Like, some people do it like as a status thing.
Oh
so.
yeah, well I like to. I'm always breaking things down because I'm always building things in my head anyways. So. Yeah, no, I'm always admiring what they did. I'm not necessarily comparing, but I'm always like, hey, what did you make your sword out of? How did you make it glow purple?
Right. So there's no judging involved because you're
there
in the
shouldn't
aspect
be.
of...
It absolutely should be no competition in the cosplay world.
Because sometimes people who started off as introverts and got into a social scene, they get kind of pretentious. They can get arrogant.
Some people get cocky. There is such a thing where the word elite gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
There are elite cosplayers.
Now, not only with going like and seeing somebody who did the same thing as you, there are also people do group cosplays. Have you ever done anything like that, like actually with people?
Yeah. That's a lot of fun.
Doing a group cosplay. What did you do? What's an example of a group cosplay that you did?
At SuperCon this year, I had a man-at-arms to go with my humanoid battle cat that I did. Mm-hmm. That was really fun. I've had a Scarlet Witch and a Gambit with my Psylocke before. It was really cool at Wizard Chicago. I actually had a request. I wasn't going to wear. I do a female He-Man, a She-Man, as I like to call it.
She-Man.
A She-Man. It's pretty much She-Ra's He-Man. And
She-Man sounds like it kind of has a more serious undertone.
It does. I like to mess with your mind. I always like to do the weird cross-gender twist. But I had a request. Somebody emailed me saying that her and her daughter were doing Motu, Masters of the Universe, for those that don't know. And her daughter was going to be Teela, and she was going to be She-Ra. And they asked if I was going to do Battle Cat again, and my Battle Cat got ruined by the U.S. Post Office.
How?
Well, it was like wire, paper mache, and stuff, and apparently their idea of Super Fragile was, hey, let's throw this over a 7-foot fence. That's awesome, thank you.
That's not very respectful.
Yeah, so my costume got really damaged and plus it's a body paint. Like, I had to have an artist, actually. I had to stand there and I was body painted live at SuperCon as a green and, yellow striped tiger. Okay. So I really don't find that a child appropriate one anyways, but I thought it was really sweet that they asked, and I'm like, well, if your daughter wants to choose between, I do the Lady Skeletor and I do the She-Man, so I let her choose one of those, and she said she wanted all of us to be pretty, so she chose She-Man, so I just did another one.
Now, what cosplays are you currently planning? I know Dave was asking that about that earlier, and you thought, like, when he was asking for the favorites.
He's asking for favorites.
What ones do you have? Which ones do you have in the works?
Right now, I'm building Dawn from Cry for Dawn and Dawn, Joseph Michael Lisner's comic, and I'm doing the actual action figure I bought in, I think, 1996 or 1998. There was a action figure of her in a green outfit, and it's a pretty intense outfit, and that's why I've never done it, because it's one of my favorite. But again, I'm not a big sewer, and that was like a huge challenge. I was like, I can't believe how much I've had to sit down at my sewing machine for the first time in a long time. And I'm building the armor actually today. I made all the armor templates. I'm sort of almost done.
So do you ever like can an idea, like you realize that you're way in over your head?
Oh yeah, there's things I'd love to do.
Because we were talking about that before the show about have you ever like having like a dream cosplay, something that's like ridiculously difficult or pretty much borderline impossible that you'd wish you could do but can't?
Voltron. I want to be Voltron so bad.
Haven't people tried to do Voltrons though?
There is some adorable little Asian girl who has the greatest parents on planet Earth, and they actually did a little tiny child Voltron. It's like the greatest thing ever.
Oh, chibi Voltron. How do you even fit a tiny little kid?
They did it, and it's amazing. There's so many amazing things. I think it's easier to build costumes for kids because obviously it's a lot smaller scale. But I would love to do a Voltron. It's just that's a lot of foam. It's a lot of foam hardening. Like I didn't build the RoboCop. The foam part was actually built by Hermes Brito in Brazil. And then make it cheaper, he just shipped me raw foam, and then I had to finish it, and the hardening and just the painting and everything, and just trying to do it had no connections or clasp or connectors, so that was like a pretty complicated ordeal.
Now we've been talking about the ones that you've been doing, making things from scratch and everything. Now, obviously, that's got to be like pretty painstaking, especially when you're talking about the sewing and stuff like that. Now, but it's like you've said, it's worth it in the end. Can you take us through like a process of a typical outfit for you? Perhaps like a specific example, like the kind of things that go into it. Because I'm sure other people probably want to get started in doing something.
People
like
get
that.
so intimidated they won't do it. Like I get messages all the time, like, "Oh, I'd love to do that. I can't do it." No, you're afraid to do it. You can do it because believe me, I didn't have any skills. I'm a dog groomer. I can cut dog hair. I had no idea I could do these things. It's a motivation and it's a craft. Like before, I used to make like hair accessories and purses and stuff just for fun on the side, or like
some
t-shirts.
Etsy shit.
Yeah, I used to just make stuff because I just like keeping myself busy. First, I'll start by drawing. Get your reference pictures together is the first thing you need to do. Then start drawing things out, and then start looking at the pieces and parts. And what does that remind you of? What have you seen out in the real world that looks like similar to that you could build into that or create to that? Because not a lot of people can do. There's a lot of SPFX going around now, especially with like face-off shows and stuff like that, where people think I need to carve this out of clay and make a mold and spend thousands of dollars on silicone and latexes and urethanes. It's like you don't have to do all that.
Well, what about for the people who like me who can't draw? I have like Michael J. Fox kind of hands.
I can't draw.
Holding a pencil, and so how do you do the drawing then?
No, I can't do that either. I get the reference pictures, and I might just sketch out. I'm a tracer.
Okay,
That's how I'm gonna go with. I am a tracer. I am horrible at art.
All right, so you found a way around that. You're just tracing the image yourself, and then how does it evolve from there into like from a picture on a paper to doing a full body thing? Like you don't just use any random mannequin. You got to make it fit you. And you can't just put things
really
on
fun.
And take it off and put it on, take it off, and tailor it from there.
You grab a friend. You grab up to 4 rolls of good duct tape, not the crap from the dollar store. Go get the good stuff. Duct tape. And you follow a tutorial. It's hilarious. You're going to put on some old kind of thin clothes. You're going to tape the seams together wherever your skin's exposed. You're going to put a little bit of saran wrap, and then you have them wrap you physically in duct tape and then cut you out. And then you fill it with, I recommend, like old sheets fabric kind of stuff, because that way it's more pliable and it won't ruin your form. And then you can actually
have to cut you out. So you're gonna need somebody you trust.
So bad. Bandage scissors help a lot because they have that 45-degree angle.
Okay.
Non-bandage scissors hurts like hell. It's so funny though,
scars
because
from
the whole
that?
time your friend's just screwing with you.
Right.
It's
dig
so
in
funny.
there, go Dexter on you at that point.
Yeah, well, the whole time you're being taped, you just can't move. You start actually sweating because it's not breathable. It's really funny. But, and then luckily my friend happened to used to be a plumber anyway, so he went and got PVC pipe and made a skeleton for it. So then we put the duct tape on the skeleton and then stuffed it and then closed it up. And now I actually have my own Freddy mannequin.
All you, and started off with duct tape. So no having to go to get professionally clay molded and everything.
It
like
was
that,
like $20 to $25 tops, maybe,
to make your own little thing.
To
and now
make
you just put it on the thing.
own Freddykin.
And now so you can do form fitting right there. That seems like a lot easier of a process. Now, we were talking before about the fame and stuff like that. I guess a professional, like doing, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be professional since you're not doing it for the money, but I guess it's a professional hobby. You do the hobby on a constant basis.
It's a more hardcore hobby than most.
But doing that, you are in the public eye, like often. So, and you get photographed a lot, even sometimes unprofessionally by just random attendees. Like, what's that like?
It definitely has that little bit of a rock star thing where you're like, this is freaking awesome. I just get all giddy when I'm at a show. I do. I totally nerd out and just get giddy. And I get excited if other people are excited. Like if somebody's just like not saying anything to me and just snapping a photo, it's not that exciting. But when people are excited over what I'm dressed as and know what I'm dressed as, or just appreciate how like cool it looks, you appreciate it. It's like positive feed. It's like tons of positive
Again, the
energy
flattery and the appreciation of the people who appreciate the hard work you put into it in the first place. But what about like when you check Facebook again later on, you find some random picture from the event that you have no recollection of?
No,
like
half time I don't either. That's why I'm just like, oh yeah, I should get like a butt shot or something. But to me, that's like, you know what? I dress like that. I don't care. I would do the same thing.
There's a lot of people that do.
It's not a big deal.
There's a lot of people that get real upset like about the male attention they get. They claim to be harassed all the time, and I understand like if someone goes up and just thinks that they can just start pawing all over you, that's a pretty big deal. But I think if someone just snaps a picture of it at random, like you're gonna do that anyway. If you see something crazy going on, if you walking down the street in a really bright pink shirt with the fuzzy hat, you're probably going to take a picture or something like that. Yeah. You're like, look what just walked out of the bar. Like, how did that come out?
If there's a camel walking down the street, I'm taking a picture of it. It's just going to happen.
Right. So like, but with, so do you like enjoy all the male attention that you get, or does it get annoying? I mean, being a female cosplayer, that's going to happen.
It happens. I'm not going to say I enjoy it because that's not why I do it. But if it happens, it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't get up in arms about anything.
Right, but you enjoy more when they come up to you and actually show appreciation and say, like, I like your costume, not just, oh my God, you're so hot.
Yes, yeah. If somebody's just telling me I'm hot, like I just don't care. But yeah, if they're actually like appreciating the costume, and then they happen to tell me I'm beautiful. Like sometimes, like somebody will mention my eyes in a photo when I'm wearing a cool costume. I'm like, wow, that was really nice of them.
Now, some people at cons are, let's face it, less socially capable than others.
Sometimes it can be awkward, but I think you go in with that mentality. Like, you would never walk into a situation half naked. I got a lot of side boob costumes. I would never go into that situation and be uppity about it. I just think that's stupid.
Right? Do you deal with like jealous girls, inappropriate men, like kind of like obsessive fans, like at the point where it kind of makes you like a little bit uncomfortable, or more of at least a why are you acting like this?
It's very rare. I feel because I don't do the fan page thing that I'm lucky. Do I see it on other people's pages? All the time. Because
you're more interactive with them, do you think?
Because it's a personal page, and I think because I'm me. First of all, I'm the most tattooed cosplayer.
I have noticed that, actually.
I am the most tattooed cosplayer, and I have some
something.
pretty scary tattoos. I have no doubt from just social standards that probably intimidates people a little bit. I'm very me on my page, and me in general is kind of a tomboy, kind of a hardcore in your face chick. So I don't think I invite those kind of people to my page. If I feel any kind of comment is a little on the skeevy side, there's a little X click. I just get rid of it, and I don't think a second of it. Have I seen other people post?
You don't make a show of it, though, like
I do
calling them out and putting them on blast or anything else like that, because they have. Well, we were talking before the show about the whole like equality and everything for cosplay girls who like are claiming like, oh, I'm just there for me. I don't want people to look at me. I don't want people to take pictures of me and things like that. And you mentioned some sort of Lord of the Rings reference, which I was really interested in.
That's
I wanted
not
you
quite
to
how
save
it is. I don't want to reference that way. Nobody goes there and thinks it's not that they're not going to be in the spotlight. But there was a movement. I think it still technically exists, called Cosplay Does Not Equal Consent.
Yeah.
I think it just turned into a complete mishap, I would like to say. I'm not even sure who exactly started it, but I believe it was an accident. I don't believe they meant it to become what it became.
Right.
Do I think it was completely stupid of them?
Or blown out of proportion?
If they're watching, you're an idiot. Here's what I think happened. It's kind of like you're in Rohan and you're just walking by that pyre that you only light in case of emergency, and your dumbass slipped and you lit the damn beacon, and next thing you know the next beacon's lit and the next beacon's lit and the next beacon's lit, and then all of a sudden it's in Gondor and we're all at war. For what? Because you were up in arms because, cosplay doesn't equal consent. Somebody took a picture of my butt. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. Seriously. There is nothing wrong with what goes on at cons. You can go to a bar, a nightclub, a damn coffee house, in any place in America and get sexually harassed more than you get harassed at a Comic-Con. And I don't like that somebody made it sound like Comic-Cons were a dangerous environment, because that is a dirty, dirty lie.
Now, those are things that people don't like about it. You talk about how it's not a big deal. You appreciate the flattery about it. What would be, if you had to make your favorite thing about cosplay and event and cons and everything, and then your least favorite? What would they be?
Your favorite and least favorite about cosplay?
Yeah, your most favorite thing about cosplaying and going to events and everything, and then your least favorite.
My least favorite is how expensive some of the freaking hotels are. It is a really, really expensive hobby because it's one thing, like I make costumes on the cheap. I know people that spend thousands on costumes to boot. Well, then let's say you're going to the biggest cosplay con is Dragon Con. Mm-hmm. Man, you're going to spend upwards of $300 a night on a hotel. So people kind of gather together and get a hotel room together. Yeah, a lot of people like, oh my god, I know cosplayers that have easily done 7 in a room,
looking like a campground.
And it's crazy because some of your costumes are gigantic. So how you fit you plus all your costumes per day in those rooms is just amazing to me. We at New York Comic Con ended up with a ton of people accidentally in a room. We ended up with way too many roommates, and in New York everything's compact and compartmentalized. Dude, our whole wall was literally just like the wall of costumes. It was ridiculous. I actually had my She-Man costume got actually very badly damaged.
I was about to say, like, if you get a damaged costume.
I did. Somebody literally dropped a duffel bag right on my She-Man harness. And I was like, thanks. So I had to rebuild. I always almost have to rebuild things from damage.
But you're able to pull it off by the time you need it?
I actually had already worn it. It was the day after. Yeah, I luckily just worn it, and then somebody came in the room and was just like, poof, dropped a bag down, and when the bag got picked up, I'm like, oh, thanks. Battle damage. Yeah, that happens.
Right, so that's the least favorite. What about the most favorite?
My most favorite part of cons. What isn't my favorite part of a con? It's just so much. You know what? It's being a kid again. It is being like you just walked into Never Never Land and you're in this place that is just so surreal.
It's your Hogwarts?
Sure. There's no creepy, shadowy people floating around.
Okay, well.
Some creepy people floating around, just not shadowy figures that are going to cast spells on you.
Well, according to some of the women in the does not equal consent movement, they think that there's some.
I think that's luckily almost blown over, too. I think everybody's kind of realized what an asinine concept that was.
Right. So, I mean, we've gone over your most favorite, least favorite. You were talking about doing things like your Facebook is your Facebook. It's not a fan page. You don't push out people to buy your stuff to do your things. Even though you say it's a really expensive hobby, you don't try to make any money with said hobby.
No, I could. Obviously, I mean, other artists, such as the photographer that's being shown on the screen, he's made money off of me. Like, he can sell my prints or...
And you don't get commission or anything from that? No sort of royalties?
No, I haven't really done that. I mean, if it came down to somebody making a ton of money off me, I'd then step up and be like, all right, this is my image you're making the money off of. But initially, to me, it was supporting artists. That's all I wanted to do. I was like, this is awesome.
That's what the photo shoots are about?
Yeah, like I'm on 2 Lady Death covers and I would never ask for anything. It's so much, I'm so proud of that. Like, oh my God, I'm on my favorite comic. I did it. I became Lady Death. Yeah. That was such a dream for me that I don't think of it as money because maybe it's because I have a job. I don't know.
You say you're owning your own business for 11 years.
It's like I've just always kind of know how to. I work hard to play hard is how I think of it. And the second you turn a hobby into a job, you just destroyed the fun of it. You just sucked the fun right out of it.
Right. And now but the photo shoots and everything you're doing that because it's fun, and 2, you're supporting the said artist. How many of those are artists that did you like seek those artists out? Did they seek you out? Did you like get to work with a photographer that you had seen their work done and you really, really wanted them to photograph you?
Usually I would say I typically get sought out because I'm not really that direct with people, but if there's a photographer I did really want, I'll like start talking to them. Facebook isn't the most amazing network for that, and I meet them in person,
right?
Like, you know,
but you ever go fangirl on it, like, can you do a photo shoot of me or whatever kind of thing?
No, I don't fangirl. Usually they'll ask me to do a photo shoot because honestly, the Venom thing just went so mega viral.
What about if you had to pick like a particular photographer to do your work that? Like your dream photo shoot, I guess. Costume and artist.
I wouldn't even know, to be honest. I wouldn't even know.
It's not that important.
Like, I'm really excited to work with Guncat Grace from Atlanta. Like, that's what's so cool about traveling these places is you meet these people online and then they're like, I really want to do a photo of you. And I'm like, that is so awesome that somebody thinks I'm that cool.
Yeah, someone actually commented. Dave commented in the chat for his most and least, most the cosplayers and the least when it ends. Which you talked about before.
When it ends, yeah.
When it ends, like, oh, now I got to go back to normal life. And of course, when you're saying, like, you walk into there and suddenly you're a child again, that can Pretty big. All right. Well, since we're getting close to wrapping up the show, if people want to follow you on Facebook or YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, etc., how can they do that? How can they maybe obviously you're saying you're not doing it as a fan page and everything, but if they want to see some of your work, see some of your costumes and everything, get to know you a little better, maybe get into the con thing and through somebody that they know locally, how do they do that?
I just have a Facebook page, a personal Facebook page. It is facebook.com/FreddyNova. All I ask is that you hit the follow button and not friend request me, because what it does is it eats my feed and I can't see my personal friends post when there's too many friends.
Right.
So, but what I do is I have it set up. If you hit the follow button, you get all the same. You can do everything.
And they can still comment. And they can still
yeah. I don't
interact.
have that plug. I took that plug off a long time ago. You can still talk to me. You can still see all my photos. It's the same exact thing. I'm just not seeing your feed.
Now, we talked about the costumes you had going on in the future. What about the events you have going on in the future? What are you going to next?
Next, I may or may not stop at Mid-Ohio Con. I'm not positive because I'm getting behind. If I get behind on my Pittsburgh Comic Con the week after costume, then I'd have to stay home and finish it.
Okay.
But there's Mid-Ohio Con coming up the second to last weekend of this month, September. And then the last weekend is Pittsburgh Comic Con in Monroeville, actually, PA.
This is good out. Everybody that's been on the show, I appreciate it. Obviously, Dave is the only person that managed to get through, even though he had to try a couple times to do it. I apologize to anybody that tried to get in and call in for the shows. Dave, you seem to already, you're obviously still watching the show. You already have a shirt. You already have a poster. Not sure what he's going to have to want to get to.
He might be missing a print. We can give him another print.
Right, but we promised you're going to have to get a hold of Freddy or get a hold of myself, facebook.com/unlockedradio to get a hold of or to get a hold of me on the show, or you can get a hold of Freddy Nova at the thing. You already probably know all this information, but we'll try to get to you what you wanted and what you got, unless you really just wanted to talk on the show. But
why not?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody, obviously, for coming out. I hear this music in the background. All right, we're just about out of time, so I'd like to thank you all for watching tonight's episode of Unlocked Radio. Y'all want to get Hillbilly on there. I want to thank my guest, Freddy Nova, for joining us tonight. You're absolutely wonderful.
Awesome.
I'm your host, Rio. I'll be here every Monday, now at our new time slot at 6 p.m. Eastern, to provide you with gaming news, gaming perspective, and gaming discussion. And
gaming over dinner.
By the way, remember to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and check out our website. Also, show some love to Morning Show Central because they make all this possible. Don't forget about our new time slot starting next Monday, doing a little daylight savings time, moving back. If you guys tune in at 10 o'clock, we will not be here. And with that, we are going to Smedley's Bar in Lorraine and West Park, Cam's Corners, for a few drinks after the show. So stop by and share a beer with your favorite radio show host and possibly the gorgeous Freddy Nova. We'll see you there, or we'll see you next week. Bye. Have a good night.